Hey guys, welcome back. Um, Today was another boring day, and so I figured I'd make another video because it's really boring and nothing better to do. Um, but I thought that what I could do is I could start telling you guys this joke I read one time. It took me 45 minutes to read the joke, um, but it gave me a continuous source of laughter for the following couple of weeks. So, without further ado, I think I'll just start telling you guys the joke now. Just don't expect the joke to be over this video. I'll probably do a portion of the joke every day, so you guys can have it feel even longer than it is somehow. Uh, Basically, there's this guy who bought a brand new SUV. Tries to do a little bit of off-roading, and so he decides to drive through the Sahara. And so he's having a bunch of fun, and he's just zooming around left and right, going over all sorts of sand dunes and whatnot, having a great time with his brand new four-wheeler. And then he hit a really big rock, and his he totaled his car. And so he's stuck there out in the middle of the Sahara with no cell phone, and didn't tell any of his friends that what he was doing. And he didn't have any family either because his family had died in a car crash um, a couple of years before that. So, he was also an only child, so he didn't have any siblings either. So it's just him out there. Nobody's going to be expecting him. Nobody's going to really come looking for him. So he's sitting there in his car. He stays by his car for like a day. But then his bottle of water runs out, and he's starting to get thirsty. So he thinks back and he goes, well, I got gas at a store at a small town, like a couple miles that way, like 30 miles. And he's like, I guess I could probably hike back. He's getting really thirsty. And so he thought he'd stay there for a bit, and he paid attention to the sun, so he figured out which way was north, and he decided to just start walking. Uh, so he starts walking, and he thinks about walking at night to avoid, the heat of the sun and stuff. But when it actually gets to the nighttime, it's pitch black, and he can't see a single thing, and he's thinking about it, and he's like, oh, it'd be really bad if I, stumbled on something and broke my leg, or if, you know, wandered into a pit of rattlesnakes or something, and that would be bad, because then he would certainly die, as opposed to just maybe dying. So he decides that he needs to leave he needs to walk during the day, and he brings with him some sunblock that he luckily had in his car, and puts the rest in his pocket to reapply it later because he's thinking ahead. And brings an umbrella, uh, to shield himself from the sun, and he also poured himself a little bit of windshield wiper fluid into the water bottle, just in case, just in case things got really, 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 really bad. And he had a pocket knife with him just in case he found a cactus that he could cut a hole into and get some water. And so he starts walking, and just goes in the direction that he thinks is right. And he walks for an entire day. And by the end of the day, he's been sweating, and he's really thirsty, and his lips are starting to crack, and he's, put multiple layers of sunblock on him, and he's really starting to get pretty exhausted. And he tried to stay under the umbrella, but his skin still is a little sore. He's thinking maybe the sun's reflecting off of the sand, and he's just not comfortable. And he just feels the windshield wiper fluid sloshing in the bottle in his pocket. and it's starting to get really tempting. He knows that it's mainly water with some, ethanol and some coloring, but he knows that there's also something else in there to keep people from drinking it, and he's pretty sure it's poisonous. Um, and he's kind of wondering to himself, would the sick that I get from drinking this be worse than dying of thirst? I don't know. But he decides to push on before it gets too dark. Now, by the end of the day, he starts to get really worried. He's been walking at least 3 miles an hour, and according to his watch, he's been walking like that for at least 10 hours. That means that if his estimation was right, he should be close to the town. But he's looking around and he doesn't see anything he recognizes. Um, he had crossed a dry creek bed a mile or two back, and he doesn't remember coming through it in the SUV. He figures that maybe he got his direction off a little bit, and that the dry creek bed was just off to one side of the path. So after reassuring himself that he's getting close, um, and that after dark, and that once it's dark, he'll start seeing the town lights over one of the hills. Uh, thinks that that's all he'll need, and so he just kind of like camps up at the top of one of the hills. Um, that's that's as far as I'll go for today, and you guys can be left in mystery with how it will continue. With my next video, probably do it every day or something like that, and I hope you guys like it.